Was I off screen? I think I might have been off screen. My slingshot hold, and I turn so that I have a loop over my thumb, and this is my first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's my cast on. That will be the center of my base. So that's what I wanted to show you for that. To increase from 8 to 16, I'm just going to knit front and back on all for this row. And for this row, I am going to increase from 16 to 24 by knit 1, knit front and back, repeating that, knit 1, knit front and back, knit 1, knit front and back. I'm going to just knit this row. I'm going to have a seam. I can't find the seam here. The seam here. In order to get these to line up together so that I can duplicate stitch join them nicely, I'm going to put I'm going to make two of these, the seam salvage, whatever you'd call it. I'm not sure what you'd call it. So what I want to do here is have 2 extra on each side. So I shall knit front and back twice to begin with. There's one, front and back. That's my second one. So that gives me 2 extra on this side. I'm going across 20 here. And on the last 2 I'm going to knit front and back. And I now have the number of stitches I need to make the spiral comb, spiral horn. And my first stitch, I'm going to purl that, and I'm going to do a right twist. I'm still going to purl it. I'm going to zoom in a bit here. So I've got 2 here that I'm going to right twist. I'm going to go into both knitwise. Was I on screen for that? There's 1, 2, and I'm going into them knitwise, nice and neat, don't snag anything, and slide them off, and I'm going to put them back. Wait, is that right? No, that's wrong. I'm going to put the first one back, sliding it on knitwise so that it's facing the correct direction, and same with the second one. I'm going to put it in behind. So now the one on the left is now on the right, and the one on the right is now on the left behind, causing this to lean to the right. And I'm going to purl it in the usual fashion. Purl that one in the usual fashion, and then purl 4. And I'll show you that right twist again. Going in 2, slide it off neatly, collect 1 so that it's facing the way it was originally facing, and collecting the second one so that it is facing the way it was originally facing, but they're in the opposite order now. Leaning right, meaning the one on the left is now over rightward. And then 4 more. And the right twist into 2, put 1 back, put the other back, purl as usual. Four more. 2 together knitwise, but slide it off, not working them. Slide 1 back knitwise, slide 1 back knitwise, and that's a right twist. And I do that until I arrive 1, 2, 3, 4, and there are 3 left, and I'm going to purl those. Now I'm on the right side of my work, and I am going to knit 2. That's my seam. And here's my work. I'm going to knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and do a right twist, same way as the purl side. Grab 2 knitwise, slide them off, reposition them by grabbing one, making it face the same way it was originally. Grab the other one so that's facing the same way originally, and now they're twisted one over the other, facing rightward, leaning rightward. Knit those 2, and then I do the next set. 1, 2, 3, 4, right twist. Grab the 2, slide them off, slide them back one at a time, and then knit them. And then 4. And then right twist again. 2 together, 1 back, 1 back. Work them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another right twist. 2 together, 1 back, 1 back, and then knit those 2, and then my seam edge 2, and then I shall show you the decrease. It is purl side. I'm going to purl 2, and that is my edge, my seam, and here's my repeat. I'm going to purl 1, I'm going to purl 2 together, and then I'm going to purl 3. 1, 2, 3, and then repeat that. Purl 1, purl 2 together, purl 3. Purl 1, purl 2 together. Am I on screen? Purl 3. Purl 1, purl 2 together, purl 3. And that'll bring me to having 2 left, and I purl those 2 as the seam edge. And I misplaced one, look at that right there. My slope ends here and then begins there again, so I need to tink back and fix that, but my other slopes are doing fine. Here it is. My 2 together was too soon. See, there's the slope. You can see the slope there leading to that stitch. And that stitch needs to join up with the one behind it there. Now I'm done. There, I've corrected it. So that's basically everything, all the stitches that I use, the draw loop increase, the knit front and back, the right twist on the purl side, and the right twist on the front side, and I don't do anything besides those maneuvers. I will link to my project page. So I've got my piece here ready for seaming, and I have two stitches for the selvage, the seam, so those will go inside the seam. Am I on screen? There's that one there and the one beside it, so my seam goes here, so I'm going to come up there. And then on this side I've got that edge stitch there, and then, oh, hang on. There's one stitch there, and then the one beside it. So I am going to go in that trench there and grab that stitch and press these edges inward so that they curl properly, and I shall give that a gentle tug. You can still see the stitch there, but I'll get that tight in a second. And I just came from here, so I'm going, and that's the edge stitch, and that's the beside stitch, so I'm going into there. That's where I came out, so I'm going in there again, coming out the next stitch in the trench. I don't know the terminology, but here I went in there, and I'm going to come out. I think I'll come out in the middle of that one there. And again, I came out there, so I'll go in there and grab the next one. I'll come out in the middle of that one there. And then I'll go in, and there's the edge stitch there, and then the second stitch there. I hope I'm on screen. And then I'll go in where I came from there, and there's the first stitch and there's the second stitch, so I'll come up there, and I'm going to press those down so that it takes the edge and curls the edge inside, and I'm going to pull it, and that'll close everything up. Press the seam in folded. There we go. I think I got it all. Yeah, it looks like it. Yep. And so there's the edge stitch and the second stitch. So I shall go in there and come up in the center of that guy there, and go in where I came from. There's the edge stitch and the next down stitch. Close enough is close enough. Back in the center of that guy there. And there's the edge stitch and the next stitch, so it'll come out there. I usually do just the one edge stitch, but that misaligned my the ribs, the diagonal spiral rib, and I found that it aligns so much better, and the cone stands firmer. It doesn't flop over or twist with doing two seam edges, two columns of seam, I guess. I don't know the terminology, but 1, 2. And I press. Oh, I must have snagged it somehow. I don't know what I just did there. Well, it's not going to be very... Oh, I went in, I kind of backstitched. Yeah, I kind of did that stitch twice. There we go. That closed. I went into the same place twice, once on one side and once on the other side, instead of going down one. Okay, so there's the last of it. Press it in, pull it tight. And here I leave that gap there for stuffing and close it with this, the cast on bit here. I'm going to leave that for this last closing. And I am going to take this, I guess I can secure it a bit. There we go. And I'm going to come up on the very edge here and duplicate stitch into the other rib bit just to hide the seam. You can see it here, the seam. But if I go up into that there and gently shape this guy here, the one I just put, there we go, blend him in. And when I'm up out of that guy, I go around this one and duplicate stitch in there, go down where I came from and come up without piercing the other side here in the center of the next one and tug that one just enough to shape this guy here and go around the bottom. That one, adding a duplicate stitch over the seam, go back in and come up the center of that one, tweak the shape of this guy here, and then go into the bottom of that one, go back in this one and come about the top of the very last one here. This is a bit scoochy because the seam is a bit thick. There we go. And this one doesn't have one to duplicate with, so I just pierce one of the closing stitches, and done. All the duplicate stitches are in place. A little bit of gentle shaping. Nope. This one's a bit difficult because it's not really supported, it's just kind of looped around that last. Okay, it doesn't even look like a stitch. So that's that for that end. I'll just make that go away, and I'll stuff this and pull this tight. That's the I don't want it too tight at the moment. I want to be able to get stuffing in there. So I'll get my stuffing in there and pull it up to the get it in here, shaped by poking down and prying it upward, turning, prying it upward, turning a bit, prying it upward until this is firm and shaped like it needs to be shaped. And the top here, it will be kind of lumpy and uneven. Pierce through a few stitches so that it's nice and secure, and pull upward. Pierce again and pull, turn a little bit, pierce through again and pull, and roll it between your fingers, and that will bring it to a nicer point. I don't know if it's easier once it's stuffed, but that's how I got the point to be shaped a bit better. And that's how I do my horn. The only way I can really tell where the seam is this is at the bottom of it here. That's the seam side there. Check out the pattern link in the description of this video, like and subscribe.